Hello everyone, welcome back. This is the final part to the Crusades Part 1, which will actually be, this will be Part 7. Video.
Realize there's no surviving this. This is over. So they decide, let's go to the mosque. Let's die praying. And so they barricade themselves inside the mosques. The Crusaders eventually smash the doors open. They slaughter everybody inside. They get buckets of water. They wash the blood out. They go to the top of the minaret. They break the crescent moon off and they stick a cross on top. They say a prayer. Boom, insta-church. Then they go to the Jewish quarter. Because, see, Jerusalem was in 4 quarters. A Muslim quarter, 2 Christian quarters, and a Jewish quarter. Why are the Crusaders here? So that Christians can own Jerusalem, because clearly they could be there if they had half the city. Not interesting. So they go to the Jewish quarter. And the Jews know what's coming. It's not rocket science here. So they just start running to synagogues. They figure, let's do like those Muslims did. We'll die in prayer. The Crusaders believed that Jews were so horrible, so evil, you couldn't wash out the synagogue afterwards and turn it into a church. So they just piled wood around the synagogues and burned them to the ground, burning the Jews inside alive. And then they go to the 2 Christian quarters. And of course, at this point, the Christian population is peeing itself because it's just watched half the city get exterminated. And they go, you have the true cross, where is it? And the Christians go, we're not telling you. You're savages. And the Crusaders go, okay, we got you. And they start murdering the Christian clergy. They're like, who's a priest? Let's have your priest. And they just start slaughtering the priests. And they're like, when we're done, we're going to do the deacons. And then we're going to start working on your families. Eventually, somebody tells them, here's the true cross, please stop killing us. And they stop massacring the Christians as well. But then they turn to the Christians and go, remember that great schism in 1058? These Catholic priests are your new priests. Get used to it. We're not doing that anymore. Your Orthodox ways are out. And they're like,
I would have been the guy going, we're not telling you anything. And they're killing everyone. And I'm like, it's okay, guys. We're going to hold firm. Do me last, though, if you would. I want to go out knowing that I'm going to go where all my people are going. And they get to me and I go, so that true cross, it was right over there. Yeah, I can't believe they actually did what I had said. So, bye. That's what you call a rat.
yeah, whatever. And that's how the Crusaders captured Jerusalem. Isn't that a heartwarming story? Is that too much sarcasm? At that point, the Egyptians are trying to figure out what to do. They send an army to Ascalon with the hope that they'll eventually be able to come back and fight to capture Jerusalem back. Godfrey is named the new ruler of Jerusalem. He does not take the title king. So he's just the ruler with no title. He takes his army, he runs to Ascalon, and the Egyptians were in disarray. They weren't expecting this. And so they weren't set up properly, and he attacks them within their disarray. And a bunch of them fall back, they drop into the fortress, the rest of them escape, and the Crusaders get another win. They don't capture Ascalon, but they definitely humiliate the Egyptian army and buy themselves some time. The Egyptians aren't done. Their leader is a guy named Al-Afdal Shahanshah. Now, Shahanshah is not Arabic, it's Persian, but Al-Afdal is. The best leader of leaders is his name. Dude, if you have that as your name, you need to get into politics. That's incredible. Anyway, so Al-Afdal is actually a slave. Isn't that weird? And he's actually Armenian. So the guy running the Fatimid kingdom of the Fatimid Caliphate of Egypt. It has a caliph, a khalifa. It has a Shia khalifa. The guy running it is actually an Armenian slave. There's an actual khalifa who's a Shia Arab, but the guy running it, the wazir, is an Armenian slave named the best leader of leaders. And he's like, we're not doing this. He sends an army. They attack Ramla. Godfrey is dead. Godfrey dies. We don't know why. There's one person says that he was killed in battle. Another person said he got sick. Another person said he was poisoned. Godfrey's dead. He was literally the ruler of Jerusalem for a year. He's replaced by Balduin, the guy that captured Edessa. He comes down, it's his brother. So the chronicler said that when Balduin received the news, he was very happy, but also a little sad that his brother had died. And he comes down and he's crowned king. And that's the moment in the year 1100 that the kingdom of Jerusalem is officially going, because there's now a king, right? But Godfrey was at 1099 when they captured Jerusalem. He meets Alafdal at Ramla in 1101, and he defeats the Egyptian army. The Egyptian army withdraws. They come back the next year because Alafdal is not going to give up easily. They attack Ramla, and this time they beat the Crusaders. The Crusaders fall to Jaffa, and in the second battle at Jaffa, the Crusaders win again. The Egyptians withdraw. They come back in 1105 to do it again. They attack Ramla, and they're defeated a third time. And the Egyptians give it a rest. They're like, okay, we're exhausted losing. In the meantime, something really critical happens for the purposes of how the Crusades are going to unfold. And it's the Battle of Haran. So Haran used to be called Karhae. Karhae is where the Romans fought the Persians for the first time in 53 BC. And the Romans were, just summarily defeated. It was a catastrophe. 26,000 Romans against 8,000 Persians. And the Persians maybe lost like 100, 150. And the Romans lost like 13,000 dead, 10,000 captured. So the Crusaders are going to do another Karhae, only the city's been renamed Haran. And the Muslim army comes out to meet it at Haran. It's southeast of Edessa, and the Crusaders are defeated. They are beaten in the field. And in fact, one of the Crusaders is captured. His name is Balduin, but it's a different Balduin. It's not the king of Jerusalem. It's his cousin. I think it's his cousin. And his cousin's name was Balduin Borsk. That's what's in my Borsk, I think is what it was. And he's become the Count of Edessa when Balduin becomes the king of Jerusalem. And so he goes into captivity. And he's stuck in captivity for 4 years. And while he's in captivity, Bohemond himself also gets captured, and he ends up in captivity. So two Crusaders are now out of the picture because they've been captured. And then Raimond decides he wants Tarabalus. So Raimond was probably supposed to become the king. But for whatever reason, he decided he didn't want to be the king of Jerusalem. He wanted to be the king of Tarabalus. So what he did was he set up a siege for Tarabalus after they captured Jerusalem in 1102. And he's built a fortress north of Tarabalus, and he's fighting day after day. The defenders of Tripoli come out in late in 1104. They set his fortress on fire. Raimond himself is severely injured.
Sorry, my dog came over with a little broken nail, little hangnail. And so whenever something happens, they come over to me. So I had to grab it and just do a little twist and just kind of, it was already broken, just kind of pull it off. She just broke the egg. It's like, having a nail out here and just breaking it. So sorry.
In the fire. He survives it, but dies like 3 or 4 months later from his wounds. So the Crusaders have now lost basically 4 of their top crusaders. Godfrey is dead, Raimond is dead, Bohemond is in captivity, Baldwin, spoiler alert, who will become Baldwin II, who will become the second king of Jerusalem, is in captivity. So that's a weird story, obviously. And so they're in trouble. By this point, most of the crusaders have actually gone home. In other words, if the Muslims had just attacked in an organized fashion at that moment, there was nothing to stop them from just taking it all back. But the Muslims are in such disarray, and each of these Turkish warlords, these Seljuk warlords, hates each other's guts so much they just won't cooperate together. It gets so weird that at some point, 1108, there's going to be a battle. Baldwin gets released, and Baldwin is going to make a deal with the ruler of Mosul, and he's going to field an army. So it's going to be a Crusader army next to a Seljuk army. They're going to fight together. They're going to fight Tancred. Tancred ended up becoming the regent of Edessa while Baldwin was in prison. Tancred doesn't want to give it up. He doesn't want Baldwin to come back. Tancred goes and he gets Ridwan, the guy from Aleppo. So there's Tancred, the Crusader, has a Muslim ally, and they're next to each other in the field. And they're going to fight a battle against a Muslim Crusader army. And by the way, they defeat Jawali and Baldwin. They have to escape. And Tancred basically keeps Edessa as a result. He's eventually talked into participating in the siege of Trablus. They're going to actually try and take it once and for all. And when he does that, he reconciles with Baldwin. But here we are, it's 1108. The Crusaders just captured Jerusalem 9 years earlier. And there's a battle where there's Muslims and Crusaders on both sides fighting each other. Like, it's already gone sideways in every way you can imagine. And that's the first part of the Crusades. Having said that, there's so much more to this story, which is what I warned you from the beginning, like, I am not going to get through the Crusades. I literally got you to 1108. By the way, my goal was 1125, but I think I'm basically out of time. So I'm surrendering and accepting I'm not going to get to my goal. But to put things in perspective, the Second Crusade is 1145. The kingdom of Jerusalem is going to go down in a ball of flames, in case you didn't know that. I hope I didn't spoil this for you. But in 1187, after the Battle of Hattin, so then the Third Crusade is after that. And then there's a Fourth Crusade in 1202. So in other words, the Crusades are just going to keep going for a while. And they actually don't end by most people's... The usual number we use is 1291. So it's 195 years. I've just covered 9 of it. Well, 12 if you include even more, 13 if you include the peasant crusade. By the way, there's supposedly a children crusade in this. It's a lot of fun. The Crusades were great. I'm going to tell you the Children Crusade, and I'm going to let you go. It happens later, so this is out of time sequence, but it's just too fun since I mentioned it. A group of children think if they go and just show up in Jerusalem, the Muslims will give it back, because this is after the Battle of Hattin. So they don't. Children obviously walking from France to Palestine is a little tricky. So what they do is they walk to Venice, and they show up. And they ask, will you, the Venetian Navy, just take us? And the Venetians go, yeah, of course. It would be our sacred duty to take you. And the children are never heard from again. They were sold into slavery. The Venetians just put them on the ships, took them to slave markets, and just... Isn't that just capitalism? I'm pretty sure that's just capitalism. All right, thank you for your time. And if you want to come see my show and tell, I'll stick around to let you do that. And actually, you know what? I'll field a question and then I'll let you go. How about that? I always forget to do that. I actually don't always, but no questions? Okay, good, we're done.
I gotta get her off. Oh, I know. Kick your butt. Beat you up. Okay, so this is part 1 of the Crusades. I'm sure eventually I'll get to part 2. Stupid kids. Okay, well, that was interesting. It's eat time for my puppers. So I gotta end this video. There's a thanks button. You can donate to the channel. They're getting antsy, so I'm gonna hurry up. There's a subscribe button. Click on that. There's a notification button. Click on that. It's bells and whistles and whatever else happens. Give the thumbs up. That helps me. And don't give a thumbs down, because that just means you're a dick and you're probably gonna die early. Hopefully tomorrow. Have a good day. Have a good night.